Hello guys, welcome back to the Super Guy Boy Show, and today we are back with another JoJo's Bizarre Adventure topical video on Is Pucci Black? Now, I put the poll up. I personally want to do the other topics, but y'all want to know, is Pucci black? And I know anyone who doesn't understand why this is deserving of a video, this is actually one of the most convoluted and confusing plot points in Stone Ocean that I feel like even to this day in the fandom, there's still discussions about whether or not Pucci is black. And I feel like this is such a confusing and an interesting topic that I feel like it's deserving of its own video. So today, I'm going to try my best to explaining this weird plot point and in general, the question of whether or not is Pucci black. Now, before answering this question, I feel like bringing in a bit of some context before we keep answering this one. This plot point arose from the arc that is Heavy Weather. Now, Heavy Weather is already notorious for being one of the most batshit insane arcs in the entire series in general. So, of course, what brings this up is because of the flashback section of that arc. In the flashback section, we learn that the mother apparently lost her child because of some birth thing that happened, and she decided to replace one of the children with a dead one, not knowing that years later, with Pucci thinking that his twin brother actually died. But what he didn't know is that in actuality, his real brother was switched at birth by that same lady. And later in the flashback, Pucci's sister Perla dates someone, which Pucci later finds out to actually be his distant brother, which he finds out by meeting the mother by some unfortunate events. And because of that, Pucci wants Perla's relationship with her actual brother to be broken up. And of course, since he doesn't want to tell her herself because he feels like it will just break her mentally, he decides to hire a private investigator to break up the whole relationship in general. And what Pucci doesn't know about this private investigator is that he's actually a racist. And not only that, a racist KKK member. Now, what this leads to is the confusion of this entire plot point that sparks so many discussions even to this day. So after the private investigator does some digging, he actually finds out that whether not his actual mother, but the fake mother who took him at birth, he finds out that that mother dated a black man, before Weather's birth. And because of that, he thinks that Weather is actually black, which brings in the lynching scene, which is easily one of the most disturbing scenes in all of JoJo's. Just even in the anime and in the manga, y'all pick for yourselves. I feel like they're both disturbing in their own ways. And because of that, because of his unknown knowledge of the entire situation, he believes that Weather was black, or at least a logic situation of biracial. And because of that, he lynches Weather. Now, of course, what this sparks is why? Why is the private investigator so crazy about Weather supposedly being black, but not Pucci? And this is where this whole discussion comes in. Now, surprisingly, this is one of the most oddest parts of the Heavy Weather arc. Yeah, I know. Big surprise is that if the private investigator was so quick to literally get his clan once he finds out that Pucci, not Pucci, Weather was supposedly black, why didn't he freak out when Pucci, a black-looking man, just walks into his office? Now, of course, I've searched everywhere. At least to my knowledge, I've searched at least through some Arthur notes to find any interviews relating whether or not Pucci is black. I've been trying to search everywhere of Iraqi, possibly referencing if Pucci is black in any other way. And as far as to my knowledge, I haven't found any information whether or not Pucci is black, at least said by Iraqi. So literally all we have to go by any reference is the manga and I guess the anime, which I will get to in a bit. And just to say right here, after all my research that I've done by looking through the manga, it's still really confusing. Now, even in the manga, we can see that both of their parents, which everyone here is related to, they look white. Like, there's not like they're not an interracial couple. They look white. And Pucci, not Pucci's the only dark one out of the entire family. Now, it would make a little bit more sense if they were an interracial couple, since it does happen sometimes when interracial couples have at least a couple of children. One may be darker than the other, or one may be a little bit having a bit of a darker complexion, and one may have a much more lighter complexion. Whatever it be, it's possible. But even in the colored manga, they're both white. The parents are white, and I know we can't really use this as an actual canon explanation because the colored manga don't actually represent Araki's manga. And even in the black and white version, they both look white. So all we have to go by anyway is that Pucci is supposed to be a tan white person. And this is where I'm a bit off the hands on this because Pucci looks black, but because of his parents in the manga, they appear to be white, but for some reason he's so dark. Now we could maybe use a headcanon that maybe his mother was playing around with Abdal or something. I don't know. Whether or not this is literally the canon explanation in the manga, so all we have to literally go by using the manga as the official version is that perhaps Pucci is a tan person, which I know sounds confusing. It so confuses me because just look at him. Just look at him. Now, I have to bring up the anime adaptation. Of course, we have some deniers that we're gonna have in the comments, denying maybe of, how, the anime sometimes does changes compared to the manga, but for the most part, it mostly does the accuracy fairly well. And what I'm bringing the anime adaptation up for is because in the anime, they make Pucci's parents an interracial couple, which actually does a pretty decent job at explaining Pucci's race by just confirming that he's just a biracial person. Basically logic, but actually black. And of course, it does actually help for that. But of course, because the anime, does do a lot of changes, a lot of people are quick to just deny this as not being the official version because it didn't come from Araki himself, because it's not the actual source material. But I will be quick to debate this. It has not been confirmed whether or not Araki had anything to do with this change of them being an interracial couple, but we do have some information of Araki actually helping in a lot of ways for the anime production since part 3, I think. Especially for part 5, where he helped align the characters' colors and all of that, but most importantly, Fugo's backstory, because in the manga, Fugo's backstory was a lot more vague, and when they reached out to Araki about his backstory, to which Araki gave them a much more detailed explanation for Fugo's backstory. So we can consider Fugo's backstory in the anime to actually be the much more canon one because it came from Araki in the anime instead of the actual source material in that way. So I'm going to argue that perhaps the anime might have reached out to Araki in perhaps asking them what this whole, Pucci's parents not being an interracial couple is, and maybe Araki just told them straight up that they are interracial couple, which maybe they changed it, but yet this is still yet to be confirmed by Araki in any way, or even in the anime. The anime's production has yet to come out if Araki had anything to do with that change, but whether or not, it still makes it very confusing if we take the anime into that consideration, because confirming that Pucci is a biracial person, Pucci is still black, and yet the private investigator still accepts his money but freaks out when he thinks Weather is black. And honestly, this is where I ran out of any information to whether or not anything helps this whole thing out, because that is where my research had ended, because this is still yet to be confirmed by Iraqi. We still have no information on Pucci's race in any way. Even in the manga, there's nothing that is confirming anything of Pucci's African heritage. Nothing in the manga says anything about that. So even if we take the anime into consideration, it's still confusing why the private investigator still accepts his money, let alone let him in his own business. So this is where I will give my own somewhat headcanon. Now, don't use this as an actual explanation. I'm saying this for my own, reasoning. The reason why I think the prime investigator probably didn't freak out on Pucci is because Pucci did belong to a very wealthy family and a very respected family from the part he was at, in Florida, and that family was looked at very gracefully. So of course, the private investigator didn't probably attack Pucci, probably because he was afraid of any backlash or maybe any retaliation from Pucci's wealthy family. And maybe that's why he didn't attack Pucci. But yet, still, as this point of the video where it's being posted, it's still yet to be confirmed. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna say I'm sorry. I could not figure out if Pucci was black. And this is gonna be the last time I'm gonna do a Stone Ocean video. Just kidding. But it's sad that the first Stone Ocean video has to be a fucking question of what is a character's race. But yet, I don't know. I don't think Iraqi even knows himself. I don't even think he understands race in general. But, yeah. This is where the video is gonna end because I literally don't know how to answer this question. Commenters, subscribers, maybe answer the question yourselves. But yeah, this is the ending of the video. Hopefully y'all had a great time with this video. And yeah, hopefully y'all are happy with the question or the answer. But yeah, I'm sorry, but see ya.